What if the NFL still doesn't believe in Cam Ward? Because right now, the Tennessee Titans quarterback is about to make NFL history for all the wrong reasons. Cam Ward is entering his second NFL season, and he still hasn't played a single primetime game. Not one. No Sunday Night Football. No Monday Night Football. No Thursday Night Spotlight. Nothing. And honestly, that's shocking when you realize Ward was the #1 overall pick. Because throughout modern NFL history, first overall quarterbacks almost always get pushed into the national spotlight immediately. Peyton Manning got primetime games. Joe Burrow got primetime games. Trevor Lawrence got primetime games. Caleb Williams got primetime games. Even struggling young quarterbacks still got opportunities under the lights. But Cam Ward? The NFL completely ignored him again. And if Tennessee doesn't get flexed later in the season, Ward will become the first #1 overall quarterback since Vinny Testaverde in the 1980s to go 2 full seasons without a primetime debut. That's insane. Because whether people want to admit it or not, primetime games are about respect. The NFL puts teams in those windows because they believe people want to watch them. They believe the quarterback is exciting. They believe the storyline matters. They believe the franchise is relevant. And apparently, the league still isn't convinced about Tennessee. That's the bigger story here. Because this isn't only about Cam Ward. It's about how the NFL still views the Titans entering 2026. And honestly, you can understand why. The Titans finished 3-14 last season. The offense looked unstable for large stretches. Brian Callahan got fired mid-season. The roster still has major question marks. And nationally, most people still don't know what Tennessee is supposed to become. But at the same time, things are starting to change. Because despite all the chaos last year, Cam Ward quietly showed flashes that made people pay attention. Over 3,100 passing yards, mobility, arm talent, leadership, confidence under pressure. And late in the season, he actually started looking comfortable against NFL defenses. That matters, because young quarterbacks usually define how the entire league views a franchise. And right now, Cam Ward represents hope for Tennessee. The Titans desperately needed a new identity. For years, this organization felt stuck in the middle. Not terrible enough to fully rebuild, not good enough to seriously compete. The roster constantly changed. The coaching staff constantly changed. The direction constantly changed. And eventually, the franchise just started feeling irrelevant nationally. But now, there's finally intrigue again. Robert Saleh is trying to build a completely new culture. Brian Daboll is helping develop Ward. The front office added more weapons around the offense. Carnell Tate arrived. Wan'Dale Robinson arrived. And slowly, the Titans are trying to create actual structure around their young quarterback. That's something this franchise has needed for years. But respect in the NFL is never automatic. Teams have to earn it. And apparently, the league still believes Tennessee has a lot to prove before it deserves the spotlight again. Because think about it, even rebuilding teams usually get at least one primetime appearance if they have a young quarterback people care about. Especially a first overall pick. NFL schedule makers looked at Tennessee for a second straight year and still said no. That's brutal. And honestly, it might become motivation for this team, because meaningful franchises are supposed to respond to disrespect. Relevant quarterbacks are supposed to force attention. And if Cam Ward truly becomes the player Tennessee believes he can become, the primetime games will eventually come naturally. That's how the NFL works. Winning changes everything. If the Titans suddenly become competitive, national attention changes immediately. Media coverage changes immediately. Narratives change immediately. And suddenly, the NFL won't be able to ignore Tennessee anymore. But until that happens, questions are still going to follow this franchise. Can Cam Ward truly become elite? Can Robert Saleh stabilize the organization? Can the Titans finally stop resetting every 2 years? Can this rebuild actually become sustainable? Those are the real questions entering 2026. And honestly, maybe the lack of primetime games tells us exactly how the NFL currently feels about Tennessee. Interesting, potentially dangerous, but still unproven. Still, there's pressure now, because for the first time in years, people are actually paying attention to the Titans again. Not because they're contenders yet, but because Cam Ward changed the conversation. And now comes the difficult part, turning potential into reality, because hype disappears very quickly in the NFL. But winning changes everything. So now the question becomes this: will Cam Ward eventually force the NFL to put Tennessee in the spotlight? Or does the league still believe the Titans are years away from truly mattering again? Does Cam Ward deserve primetime games already? Or has Tennessee still not earned national respect yet? Subscribe for more Tennessee Titans news, NFL analysis, and franchise breakdowns. This is Titan Grind.